So I'm back with another framework for you. If you have a long to-do list that makes it feel like you are always busy and not progressing in quite the way that you want to, then Today's video is for you. So we're talking about the aligned action filter. So what is that exactly? So this is a very fast, values-led decision-making tool that helps you to cut through the noise and take both aligned and intentional action, which you'll know from me is really, really important. So it helps you to decide what to do, what to delay, and what to delete so that you can stay focused on what really matters. So it's not just about time management, it's about energy, impact, and alignment. So I'm going to break it down and go into a little bit more detail so that you can understand what each of those three categories actually mean and some examples of different tasks that might fall into those categories. So the first one, do it, taking direct action. So these are the tasks that are aligned with your values and goals. So you most definitely want to prioritize them. They're also likely to be high impact and time sensitive. So you don't want to delay them, you want to get them done, and you will have that high impact on that activity, or you'll have a high return on the investment of that activity. So it is worth keeping at that top of your priority list. And it's also going to be relevant to your current focus and priorities. So when you sit down in the morning and you're looking at your to-do list, these are the ones you want to pull out of the to-do list and push to the top. So you want to make sure that they are prioritized in terms of what needs to get done that day. So first one is to do it and take direct action. So this is often linked to ascend time, so strategic and proactive. I will link in the video where I talk through that so that you can check that one out if you've not seen it. So the second one, delay it. So this is a very deliberate pause. This is not procrastination. This is not about putting it off. This is a very conscious, deliberate pause. So these tasks, they're still aligned, but they're not urgent. So they are important, but not for today. So if you get to them today, then that's great. But if you don't get them today because you're focusing on the do it tasks, then it's not going to cause a problem in your business or in your workload. So it's still aligned, but not urgent. It is important, but not for today. So this is worth scheduling or batching for when you've got a time block or a period of time that means you can get your head in that game and you can focus in on them. So the more we can schedule and the more we can allocate time for what is important and not yet urgent, so using the Eisenhower matrix, the better it makes our lives in terms of smoothness of working. It allows us to get into that flow state to work on activities that are very similar, but it also means that we are working on the things that we know are important before it gets to the point where they're really urgent, and we get that pressure added to it, because often with that pressure we get that stress response. And a good little adrenaline rush to get things done isn't always a bad thing, but we don't want to be in that state of chronic stress where we are worrying because we are always under pressure and we are always working against the clock. So if you are looking at your to-do list for the day, look to see which ones you can delay and make that decision up front. Have a look through your to-do list and make that decision at the beginning of the day. So I don't need to get this done today. I can, oh, look, I've got a gap in next week. I can block some time and I can get all of that done then, while it's important before it becomes urgent. So these tasks will often be linked to anchor time. They're stabilizing and supportive. Number 3, delete it. Let it go. So these are the tasks that are sitting on your list. Sometimes they've been there a little while. They're no longer aligned. They're no longer aligned with what's important. They're no longer aligned with your priorities. So they're on there because they've been on there. They're not on there because you want and you're choosing them to be on there. So they're no longer aligned, which means often they're energy draining. They're legacy commitments. They're something that at one point you felt was important, but maybe things have changed, circumstances have changed, your priorities have changed. You've never made that decision to take it off the list. This is the busy work that we can get really wrapped up in that doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't move us forward. We're doing it because we said we would, but actually it doesn't really align. And it's a distraction. It's taking us away from what we know now is important to us. So we need to delete it. We need to let it go. And these are often linked to avoid time. So distracting or reactive. So we need to make that conscious decision, as all of these three elements are. They're all made by a conscious decision in terms of what needs to be done today. What do I need to do? What do I need to delay? And what do I need to delete? And the more often we ask ourselves these questions, the easier it becomes and the smaller the list gets. So here are 5 practical tips to help you to use the aligned action filter. So don't just ask, can I do this? Ask yourself, should I do this? Now, I know those of you that have worked with me will know that I normally jump on the word should because it's could, what could I do? And often with guilt attached. So I don't normally like the use of should. But in this case, this is a good question to ask. I can do this, but should I really be doing this? So just because it's possible doesn't mean it's purposeful. And this is something I notice with high achievers all of the time, because we can, often we do. And when we do the things that we can, but not necessarily what we should or what we choose to, then we find that we are losing our time to somebody else's priorities rather than our own. So ask yourself, can I do this? Yes, you can. Do I choose to do this? Do I want to do this? Should I do this? Is a much better question to help you to make that decision. So check if the task is still aligned with where you are right now. What is your current focus? What are your current priorities? Number 2, schedule a weekly filter check. So before your week begins, run your task list through do, delay, delete. So ahead of the game. And especially when we do this at the beginning of the week, quite often we're doing that in a very neutral state and we're able to look at the bigger picture. So we're able to look at what needs to be done for the week. What do we want to get done that means the week is a success? And when we do that in a very neutral state on a Monday morning or maybe the Friday afternoon, the week before, to close out the week, knowing that we've prepped for the week ahead. When we do that in a neutral state, we make much more logical decisions rather than the ones that we make in the moment, which can then be influenced by how we feel and our emotions. So when we do it when the week begins, run that task list through. What do I need to do? What do I need to delay? What do I need to delete? And this will help you to avoid saying yes to things either by default or by momentum. So, just picking that next task off the list, much more conscious decision making. Number 3, be honest about your capacity. If your energy is low or your week is full, even the good stuff on that list may need to be delayed. You only have so much capacity. And if you've got a client heavy week or you've got lots of meetings in the calendar, you need to be realistic about the time that you have. An 8-hour working day is very rarely 8 hours to get work done. You've got client calls, you've got meetings in the calendar, you've got calls to make, follow-ups to make, reach outs to make. So you don't have 8 hours for your to-do list. So you need to be really just a really open look and really honest look at actually what is realistic. Set yourself up to succeed. Do not set yourself up to fail by thinking I'll squeeze that in, because very rarely does that either help because it puts us under too much pressure, or it just sets us up to fail and then we don't feel great. We don't feel like we're doing such a good job. So protect your performance by not overloading your plate. Be really realistic about what is possible. And it's okay to say, actually, let me not focus that on this week. I'm going to bump that to next week where I can see I've got a little bit more capacity. And we don't always have control of our calendars. Sometimes we have meetings booked in, or we'll have some weeks that are more client heavy than others. So look at the week ahead, maybe look at 2 weeks ahead to see where you can move things around just to balance it out a little bit more. Deleting doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're growing. It's an evolution process. So some tasks that made sense 3 months ago may not make any sense now and may no longer serve like the vision or the direction that you are going in. So when we delete the misaligned tasks, it's a sign of being more strategic, whether that's in a leadership role or whether it's leading ourselves or leading our business. When we make those decisions, it means we're able to take that step back, look at the bigger picture, and ask ourselves whether or not this is still needed or whether we're showing up out of commitment or because we said we would. And actually having those conversations or removing the things from the task list just releases that little bit of mental energy as well as time. And that means then you can prioritize the things that are now important. Beyond work. You can apply this to your personal commitments, social events, and your habits too. Think about what you're doing that is helping you to become closer to the person that you are working to become. Think about what you need to delay, what's not a priority for you right now, and what can you delete? What is it you've been trying to do that you know your head, heart, and gut are all telling you it doesn't align with the direction that you are now heading in that would be useful for you to remove? So you can ask this for both personal commitments and professional commitments. It's just 3 questions. It's an easy framework to use. Do I do it? Do I delay it? Or do I delete it? And if you can look at it at the beginning of the day and the beginning of the week, it's going to help that flow of your day much easier. So, question for you to think about to bring this short video to a close. Where in the week are you doing things out of obligation, out of habit, or out of guilt rather than alignment, impact, or intention? And what would change if you filtered every task through purpose rather than pressure? What would be different? I would love to know. I'd love for you to share in the comments, and I would love to hear how these 3 questions can help you with your to-do list, with your time management, and with your prioritization.